Hello, and thank you for joining me. My name is Royal. We had another great trading day in the market today. The market's been really hot over the last couple of weeks. We had multiple stocks up over 100% again today. SXTP was the leading gainer, up over 200% at one point on the day, which was awesome. I sat down here in the pre market right here at what would have been 6:24 Pacific time, and I saw this stock hitting the scanners. It was moving higher, and we had just broken above this $5 level. And I saw this come up here. It was holding kind of 630, 635, sorry, 530, 535 in the low. And as this broke up through 550, I took my first entry. And I'm going to show that to you here on my trading monitor. So if I go back down, you can see my first entry there, 553, added at 568, added at 586, which put my average cost about 549. Now, interestingly enough, this ripped all the way up to almost 650. I took no profits. I was up about $800 paper on it. And I held on. I thought maybe we'd get this push up to 7 with the way this momentum looked. We were just flipping strong bull on the TTM. MACD was open. It all looked good. And we got this really pretty significant pullback. Now, hindsight's always 2020. I could have exited this faster, but when we lost the 8 EMA, I did get out. I ended up red 400 on that trade there. And as this came back up through the EMA, as I tried through here again, made back a little bit of the loss, which was great, and ended up just down 400 red on that. You can see that I traded that kind of right through this range into the 540s and ended up selling up here 598, 593. So when I was buying in the 540s at 9 o'clock, excuse me, that was actually right over here. When I was buying in the 540s and this then curled up, I ended up taking some off and got an exit there at 598. That was at 919. So right in here, got an exit, got some off, and made back 400 of that loss. So I was still red 400 on it, and this was the big move that I was excited about. So we came in, we got back up above the 8 and the 21. We come down and tested the 21. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here to make this easier to see. So we tested the 21 EMA here at 539, tested it again, came back up, mid-compression squeeze, pulled back, and held this again right through here. And we're still in the squeeze. We've got the gray dot, and then the mid-compression is the red dot. And as we pop back up, I started to get really interested in this. So back to my trading monitor, I took my first position at 556 at 923. So that would have been on this candle right here, and that was at 556. So it looked like 550 was holding. I took 556. I added 3 minutes later at 564, about right there. And then I did my next add on this 929 candle at 574. So basically right there. So I was adding as this broke above. We were in mid-compression squeeze. MACD was open. This looked really nice, and I thought maybe we'll get a push through the pre-market high. Well, we did. I had a limit order set out there at 606, and I took another half off at 650. So we got this really nice push through pre-market high. When we got this tail, I thought maybe we're not going to hold the pre-market high. So I took off another portion there at 650, as you can see, and we did get that push higher, which was great. 931, I took 250 shares off. We'll skip up to that. So 931, I took 250 shares off there at 740. That was this candle, and I exited that about right there. And then my best exit was on the 933 candle, which was this one, and I got out at 762. So this had hit 797 as the high, and when the next candle couldn't make the new high, that's where I started looking to think, okay, maybe we're extended up off this EMA. I'm going to take a little more off the table here. I did not add back. You'll see that in the live trading recap. I didn't add back for this. This candle ended up being really wild. On the 5-minute chart at 7:55, it was the first 5-minute candle to put in a new high. And this ripped right up through 8 and immediately sold back off. So a little bit of a false breakout on the new high. And I was really blown away to see the next 1-minute candle actually reclaim this wick. There was a lot of buying pressure there. I was not in, I wasn't looking to get in. I had made good money on it, up $1,000 to end the day, continuing to stay consistent and steady with the execution. And these weren't big positions. This was a 1,500 share position that ended up netting me actually $1,500 because I was red 400 when this trade started. So really, really, really nice. I was really grateful to stay disciplined, put in these limit orders up a little higher, get taken out. And if we just do a quick recap on where I'm at for the month of January, we're going to check that out here on our metrics. So we're going to go to performance and open this up. So on our metrics right now, January is looking really solid. So I don't have today in, of course, which is the 22nd, but if we add $1,000 to today, I'm currently up $3,800 on the week, which is really nice. Monday was a holiday, shorter trading week. Had a great week last week. One really, really solid day on Wednesday, up 6,800. And that has been a solid January thus far. We still have tomorrow, so Friday, and then we have next week. So about 6 trading days. I'm not looking to blow January up and do something astronomical. I just want to stay consistent. I want to reflect this consistency that I saw and was able to obtain in December. I've got that similar consistency going on in January. And that has been my mindset. Stay focused, stay consistent, take those opportunities as they come. Don't let the red days get ahead of you. Right now, I've got one red day in January. I've talked about this on some prior recaps, but I'm really working hard to stay disciplined and taking those A plus quality setups. So as we flick back over here and I bring up my trading monitor, I'll close out of this one. And again, you can see up 1,065. This ended up being a really great mover, and now we've pretty much just faded the rest of the day back down below pre-market high. So hope you enjoyed this brief recap. Stay tuned for the live trading session. It starts right after this, and I typically speed up the speed to make it a little bit, or I speed up the pace to make it a little bit easier for viewing. And really hope you enjoy this recap. If you traded today, I hope you ended the day green. If you like this content, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I'd love to keep growing community. Feel free to post comments. I'm happy to share and dialogue anytime. Appreciate y'all and make it a great day.
Good morning. So I'm in SXTP right here. You can see my entries at 553 and then 568. I just sat down at the computer, saw this moving up. It was holding right here in the 540s. So I actually took this entry right here, 553, added at 568, and then 586. We just hit 640 there. So watching this close, there's some sellers that are coming in there and had a nice move there. I'm going to go ahead and put in a sell limit just up above 6 and see if we can get this taken out here. So I'm going to go ahead and put in an order to sell 500 shares there at 610. And see if we get just a little pop back up here. We are still strong bull and MACD is open, and we have had a pullback. I'm kind of pulling back, or it's kind of pulling back a little bit more than we would normally like to see. But I've got that sell limit up there at 610 for a portion. I'm going to put a sell limit at 6 as well. So we'll do 599. Put a sell limit there, see if we can get this to hold the EMA and move higher for us. So right now, kind of right back at my break even. So just watching this here. A little bit larger topping tail right now on the 5-minute. That was a nice move. I was up about 300, maybe 400 at the peak of that, just 1,500 shares, so a little bigger seller there at 572. Doesn't really look like this wants to push higher here. Got a new 5-minute candle that's being formed right now. We'll see if this can get a little curl up here. Like I said, I got a limit order there at 599. I'm going to set my other limit order up at 590. So that's where I've got my limit sells right now. 590, 599, and 610. See if we can get a little push up higher to those levels. That would be great. Given this much larger pullback, I'd be fine getting out in that range with those orders. We'll see what this does here. If it looks like we're going to drop back again, I'll cancel those and just take a full exit. So I'm going to exit there. Losing the 80 EMA. We'll see. But yeah, a little bigger pullback. I thought this might continue higher up to 650, but we just didn't get that move. So went from green unrealized to red, and that's fine. We're early in the day. Just keep an eye out on another opportunity. Right now, we're still forming the current 5-minute candle. The high of the current 5-minute candle is 581. So we'll just watch and see. Right now, SXTP is the leading gainer. It's up 171%. Really nice volume on the day overall. It's a 1 million share float. It's done almost 78 million shares in volume already. So definitely a good sign of some strength here. So a bit of a topping tail here on the 5-minute. I'll show you that 5-minute chart. You can see this longer and a topping tail there that formed up. My average cost was 569, and like I said, that was up about 70 cents a share at the peak. I think I was up, maybe around $400 or $500, and I've been cognizant of, this opportunity to stay in while these bars are green, and this one just didn't work out. You can see if you stay in when the bars are green here, you get a decent exit. And although these hold the 8 EMA, I wouldn't fault anybody for exiting here on the red bars. And so that's similar to what I was looking for here. And because I sat down after this had already pushed to 550, I took my first entry 550 as this looked like it was holding the 540s, and then got in there and just didn't get any profit out on it. So that's all right. First trade on the day. We'll just see what other opportunities we get here. I have 1,500 shares, so that's about a 30 cent per share loss. Entry was 553, 568, and then 586 is where I added. So my average cost was 569, sold at 539. That's 30 cents a share. So we'll just watch and see what this does here through 5. If it looks like it's going to hold 5, maybe we'll get a TTM squeeze histogram that's smaller and a flip back up above 5, or excuse me, back up above the EMAs. So I'm going to take an entry there and look at it like a stop loss just below 5. So there's 506. I've got this deeper tail. That did shoot down real quick. I took that entry because of this lower support area here around 5. So just 500 shares. I was seeing this lower support here around 5, and I'm watching this really close. If we hit 490, I'll definitely be out. That's just 10 cents a share. I know we got this wick down to 485, but that happened pretty quick and got bought up quickly up to close just a little higher. So right now I'm going to sit here at 506. Like I said, I'm looking at this support area right on 5 and looking to see if we can hold that support area. You can kind of see here we were bouncing off 5, and then now we're trying to hold 5. So the line that I'm really looking at, if I draw it here, is essentially right through here. So that's essentially what I'm looking at, is where we were bouncing off of this. We broke it. Now we've come back down to it, touched it. So I'm looking to see if we're going to hold. As I said, right now my cost is 506. So just watching that here. And I'm watching it close because we are still closed on the MACD, still strong there on the TTM. So I'm being mindful that not everything's aligned here just yet, but we just have about 3 minutes 50 seconds in the current 5-minute candle. And I want to see if this is going to hold this $5 support and then pop back up above the EMAs. Okay, out there, that was a 487 exit. Drop below 490 there. Histogram still strong there. MACD's closed, so again, not going to give that a ton of room. I was in at 506, out at 490. And we will wait and see if this curls back upwards, gets back up above 5, and then we would need to get, ideally we'd get a push above this pivot here around 550, and then the next pivot area would be 581 roughly. So for now, we'll sit on the sideline, see if this sets up again. Another nice day. We've got multiple low float stocks up over 100%. SXTP, and then IOTR. IOTR's pulled back a fair bit. I'm also watching HCTI. Now, HCTI is a penny stock, so it's under $1. It's 76 cents a share right now. And not that I'm opposed to that, but I don't find that I get the same types of moves on those lower price stocks as you do something that's over $2 or $3, around $2 or $3 a share. So not really my forte, but I'll keep an eye on it. So IOTR, we can go look at IOTR here really quick. So IOTR, you can see it hit a high of 987. It's pulled back to 730. So we're below the VWAP here. Quite a bit of resistance here in the 830s. It'd be interesting to see this get up above 830. These EMAs line out and then look for a move maybe up to this 890 area. SXTP still trying to pop back up above 5. So SXTP here popping back up above 5. It was kind of flashing yellow there. I'm not super inclined to take this very first yellow histogram bar, especially where it's fairly large, a fairly large bearish histogram. I'd like to probably give this a little bit more time, see if we're really going to line back out on the EMAs here. It does look like this may curl back upward if we can get the EMA across. That was the first 5-minute candle to put in a new high there. The high of the pullback candles was 511. Definitely lower, smaller red volume candles on the 5-minute, so that's a good sign. I'm going to watch for some consolidation here sideways. Maybe we get this EMA across and get a little move back over to, a little move over, and then maybe we get a little pull back down into the 516s, 520 area. I'm going to put an order in down there at 516. If we get a pull back to that spot, that could still be a good opportunity without risking too much. So there, that order filled, and our EMAs aren't quite crossed up yet. Still weak bear, MACD still closed. So I've got a starter there at 516. Just a small position. I want to see if this will continue to consolidate and move a little sideways here. My next add, I'd be looking to add this move up over 545. I could potentially add in the 530s, looking for that break at 545. So watching to see if this will hold these 80 Ms. There's 530s. High of that candle, 536. MACD still closed. We are trying to curl back up here on the TTM. Not there yet. Oh, I'm in there still at 516, just 500 shares. Small starter. On the red volume bars on the 5 minute, they're definitely smaller than the green volume bars on the 5 minute, which is a good sign. Ideally, that overall kind of downward pressure will be lighter. So I'm going to sit tight here, 516, and just see if we get a little bit more consolidation, and then I would be looking to add, as I said, somewhere if this looks strong enough in the 530s, looking for that break of 545, 550. So the high of that prior is 528. I'm still consolidating. You can see we're between this lower support and this kind of upper resistance level here, pivots. I'm going to add there. I added at 537, looking through for this breakthrough 544, and then up to 550. It does look like we're trying to transition to strong bull here on the TTM. These bars are getting smaller. MACD is trying to cross. So my average cost now is 526. This may pop back down here to this kind of 509 and test this low at 509, 510. So that's what I'm looking for back of mind. 5 minute chart looks decent. We don't have lots of buying volume coming in just yet. There's 545. That's nice. Let's see if we can get a push up through 550 and start to get a little more short covering here. If we can get something sharp up through 580, I would be looking for this to go back to 6. There's 560. That looks good. I'm gonna add there. So I added at 561. I'm looking for this to pop back up into the 585 range, kind of with this pivot here. There's 571, 570. Strong bull now on the histogram. We've got the MACD open. Let's see if this will attract some attention from other traders who are watching this for a possible curl. There we go, 577, that hit. There's 580. Looks nice if we can get a pop up through 6 here. So now up at 580. Just watching. Squeeze release on the histogram. Still strong bull here. Be really nice to see this make a push back up through 6. My average cost is 538 right now. My last ad was at 561, which is about where we're at right now. So if we could get a little consolidation, and then maybe that would give us enough to get that next leg up if traders are seeing this, holding the EMA and not getting too much on the volume side for selling. This 1 minute candle had a red volume bar. It is lower than the prior 1 minute candle. So that's a good sign if we can get this to curl and push higher. So the high of that candle, 569. There's 573. Still watching this here. TTM strong bull. Getting a little bit of this sideways. That was a little bit of a false breakout. Sometimes once we've tested or come down to that EMA, if there's a lot of strength, this next candle will really break out hard. This one's pulling back a little more. So still watching here. We tested the 21, or we are testing the 21 EMA. My average cost still 538. I haven't added at all here. Looking to see if we can get this squeeze back up to the 570s. It'd be interesting to see if we can come back up to the 570 and push higher there. I took my exit there, 520. We didn't get that curl back up higher, so three attempts, kind of three losers on this one now. Just not getting that continuation. That's really what I'm looking for, is this to continue and curl. Now what I would be mindful of is we've put in a little bit of descending resistance here. Of course, when this candle forms, you don't know if that's going to happen or you're going to get that curl higher. And in this case, we didn't. The 5-minute chart still looks really good. This is a little bit of kind of sideways movement on the 5-minute, but I don't want to give it a lot of room back from my average cost at 538. So I'll keep watching this one here. Again, I'm not opposed to trying back in on this with this holding the 21, and my stop loss would need to be down around 512. So I'm definitely not opposed. Still looks interesting with the EMAs stacked. I'm going to take a starter right there, 542, and we'll just sit tight in this here a little bit. We can get a break back up this descending resistance now. That would look really nice. So SXTP is still the leading gainer, up 164%. We've got IOTR that's up 138%, and then CMCT has been hitting the scanners. It's really extended off the 5-minute right here, but it's currently up 62%. It's got a daily resistance at 5, and it's right there at 5 right now, so I'm not going to shift over to that one at this point. If it does break 5, you've got some room up to 589, and then all the way up to around 850, so it could be a good mover if it'll break 5 and hold. But again, it does look pretty extended on the 5-minute. So not one that I'm interested in here. I'm going to stay in here to watch SXTP, see if this will give us a curl back up at all. I've got just 500 shares here. At 542 is my current cost. So I'm watching to see if we're going to hold this pivot here at 512. Again, just 500 shares here, nothing huge. We can hold that pivot at 512, might be an interesting curl back up. But right now it's looking like it's not wanting to. The 5-minute chart still looks good on this. It's been holding the 9 EMA on the 5-minute. We've had lighter volume on the red candles, for lighter in comparison to the volume on the green candles on the 5-minute. So it's still looking interesting. The high of the prior 5-minute candle is 545, which is just up above my average cost. It'd be interesting to see if this can push up and we can get some short squeeze. So just watching this here to see if we'll get curl back up. My cost right now is 542. I haven't added. Watching to see if this is going to curl. I can see these kind of longer tails towards the top. There's definitely some selling pressure there. We would need to, ideally, we would see these, get some strength where there's some more short covering, maybe back up through 550. We're still holding the 9 EMA on the 5-minute. The low of the current 5-minute candle is 512. The high is 541. There's 542 added there. I now have 1,000 shares. I'm looking for this break back up through the pivot, 546. Looks like this could be trying to curl after some consolidation there. 5-minute profile still looks really nice. See if this will break up through 550. Let's see, we've got a pivot in that descending resistance line there. We can break up through this and get up into the 580s. We've got a legitimate chance back up towards almost 6. So there's 560, looking good so far. 556, 560. I'm gonna add there at 560. My average cost is now 548. Still really nice profile on the 5-minute chart. So I added at 560. We're now 565. Looking to see if we can get that curl back up through 588. So that would be 580, 590. There's another little push up to the 570s. There's 576. See if we can keep this moving higher here. I'd like to see this get some acceleration up through 6. If we can get some acceleration, that means there could be some short covering that would happen. We could get a new break up there. There's 570, 569. So watching here. Deeper pullback there. I'll touch that descending resistance line. Let's see if that gets bought back up on that test of the 21 EMA there. It does appear we're trying to transition back to strong bull. Right now, MACD is still open. TTM histograms trying to go to strong bull here. We're at 550. Key psychological level there at $0.50. There's a nice push back up. This just needs to keep getting more momentum. If we can get some sellers to get out of the way and we see that buying acceleration, then we may get some more push to the upside. So right now, my average cost is 548. There's a nice push up back up to 570. I added there. So I added 500 shares at 569. There's a nice acceleration. And then kind of a drop back. So just being mindful of that. So my average cost right now is 554. We still look good on the 5-minute chart. We just closed a 5-minute candle right at my average cost here. We've got a mid-compression squeeze on the TTM, strong bull. Deeper pullback to the 21 there. So again, this is SXTP. It's the leading gainer on the day. It's up 168%. The 5-minute volume profile looks good. 5-minute candles look good. We pop back down to the 21 EMA, held the 21. Now popping back up to 550. My average cost is 554 with my ads. And I'm just watching here to see if we can hold that 21 EMA and try to hold this pivot line and get a squeeze higher. So again, this is SXTP. still watching. We've had some larger pullbacks on these 1 minute candles, and if we could get those sellers that are there to clear out by getting a nice burst higher, then this could look nice up into, back up into the 580s, 590s. That's what I'm trying to be mindful of now. Mid compression squeeze on a bullish histogram on the TTM. Watching to see if this 8 and 21 EMA will hold here. So this actually looks like a good entry opportunity right now. Here at 550, we're holding the 21. The 5 minute chart looks good. We've just had some sideways consolidation, and we've continued to hold the 9 EMA on the 5 minute. We've got about a minute 45 seconds on this current 5 minute candle. There we go. There's a nice push to 562, 564. Good. There's some short covering up to 570. That went all the way up to 580 there. So still good opportunity to enter right here. Could enter right here with the stop loss around 540. So this is a good opportunity to get in. We're getting that a little bit of that curl up. Probably about a 20-cent risk per share. So another topping tail there, but we still look good on the 5 minute chart. Okay, there's 570. Good. Still a good opportunity to get in. So SXTP still a good chance to get in here. Let's see if this moves higher. We ran right back up to this 580 again, so they're obviously selling going on there at 580. If we can break that, then we'd be looking for the push back up to 6 and maybe even 620. There we go, 574, 75. See if we can get them squeeze higher here. There's 582, good. 585, 590, nice. 590, 591, 93, 95, 96, good. Got sold out 500 there. We sold another 500 there at 593. Yeah, that was a nice push. Now I'm going to keep the other 1,000 shares here. So I've got 1,000 shares still. Still got good momentum. Little pullback here. Could still be an entry right here. So it could be an opportunity to take an ad. We did push right up to 6. That high was 599. But we still have green bars on the TTM trend. A little deeper pullback there. And that came all the way back to the 21. Let's see if that gets bought back up off the 21. That was a nice buy back up. My average cost right now is 564, so I'm not adding again. And lighter, this is a new 5 minute candle. So there's 560. Still a good opportunity here at 560. That was heavier selling volume on the 1 minute. So my average cost is 564. I'm holding this. I am just below my average cost. We're trading 560 right now. I won't get this a lot of room. I made back a portion of the loss there, which was great. Just trying to see if this will give us any more with 550 holding. So given I'm in at 564, I'm probably going to be like maybe a 550 stop loss here. If we hit 550, I'll be out. Okay, there was 550, so I'm out. I made back half the loss there, so that was nice. This is right at the 21 EMA. If this holds the 21, this still looks interesting. We can see how we got clear up to 599. So I'm completely out here. This is trying to hold the 21. We are still bullish on the TTM squeeze. And we are coming in toward the market open. What would have been more ideal there is that we broke 6 and raced right up to 650 and recovered the 5 minute topping tail. That would have shown there was a lot more buying pressure at that $6 looking for the breakup through 650. So that would have recovered. If I switch to the 5 minute, you can see here what that would have done. If we had gotten this push real up, we could have bought back up this entire wick, and that would have been a really, really nice move. So that's not what happened on that case, but I made back half the loss. So that was nice. Just a base hit trade. I'm switching back to the 1 minute just to watch here again. CMCT could be interesting here. Break of 5. Although there we go on SXTP, kind of trying to curl higher again. So I'm going to switch back. I want to keep watching SXTP because it's the leading gainer on the day. I'm now up 186%. So I'm going to take that pullback right there at 556. And we have basically a triple bottom right around 550, 546. So there's a 546, 546, and then a 545 low. Those were the 3 prior 1 minute candles. So I know if I break 545, I want to be out from 556. That's just 11 cents. So I have an entry right there, which looks good. I'd be looking to add on this break of 580. So good opportunity to be in right here for a small trade. So still watching the 5 minute candle here. Still a minute left on the current 5 minute candle. There's 562, good. Again, if we break through that 580, I want to be in again. So still good opportunity here. Stop loss would be basically 540. That'd be a 16-cent risk. So I'm in at 556. Current price is 559. There's 560. Let's see what this does here. Kind of just moving sideways. So again, like 540 would be my stop loss exit. The low, we have that kind of triple bottom there at 545. So don't want to give it much room beyond 545. Still a good opportunity here, right down near the 21 EMA. 560 would be the entry. So yeah, 558, 557. Let's see if this gets us a push higher here. So 5-minute chart still looks good. A little heavier red volume bar on that prior 5-minute. So we're still watching here. So we can get this curl back up. I'm going to add there. So I added at 564. Now looking for this curl higher. There's 573. So we can get this push up through 599 up through 6. So I added at 564. We're currently at 571. We'll see if this can give us a curl coming into the market open here. So right now, with that add back, or with that add in, my average cost is 560. Essentially assuming a 549 stop loss here, 545 probably. That's 15 cents off my average cost. And to see if we can get this curl back up higher. So a minute and a half left on the current 5-minute candle. Like I said, probably 549 for my stop loss. I don't want to give this a ton of space. I made back half of what my loss was, and so I'm being mindful of, not digging that hole deeper. There's 570. Still in a mid-compression squeeze here. So still in. Average cost right now, 560. There's 573. 75, 78. I added there at 577. Now looking for this push up through 6. There's 583. Good. Let's see if we can get up through 6 here. 590. We can get that short covering. There's 598. 6. I don't see any big seller stack there, but we did pull down back off of 6, which probably makes sense with that pivot there. So we can break through. There we go. 609, 607, 611. Good. There's 610. So if we hold above 6 here, we can hold above 6. I'd actually like to add again. Right now, my average cost is 566. A little larger topping tail there. We're just coming into the market open, just under pre-market high. About 2 seconds till the market opens. So I took 500 shares off there. They're 615, 620. Boom. Big extension up to 689. So I sold some more there at 650. I've got 500 shares still here, 660. My average cost is 577. So if this will hold the pre-market high, which right now that was a big extension up to 689. Let's see if this wants to move higher here. 660. I'm not adding yet because I just want to see what this is going to do here around the pre-market high. I know that if I add here, it'll bring my average cost way up, which is fine. I want to be big when I'm right. So there's a bigger seller at 652. Another larger seller there. 20,000 share seller at 665. Looks like they got bought up or pulled their order. There's 670. So again, I haven't added yet. We've got a fresh breakout here. There we go. 703. Nice. 705. Good. This looks really good. I'm up $1 a share on my remaining portion right here, which is great. 720. Good. Still holding. I haven't added anything here. 729. There's 750, 770. Let's see if we can get a limit up. 797. Limit order is 797. A little deeper pullback there. I'm going to take half off right there. So now I've got 250 shares left still. I am now up $1.72 on my remaining position. So watching here was a really nice extension up to $8 a share. Our 200 EMA is at 9, so just something to be aware of. That's on the daily. And the nice thing is right here, we've got a window to 848 and then a window to 1030. So I'm kind of keep those things back of mind. Move this down here. We've got a window to 838. Excuse me, 848 and then 1030. So there's a window about, we'll just call it 850. And then a window up to 1030. Again, that assumes we break through, that assumes that we break through this. So I'm going to take half off again right there. I've got that order in at 761. There we go, that filled. Oh, that did fill out my rest. My apologies. So I had sell ask at the rest there. Okay, so that was a great trade. Made $1,100. I'm completely out now. This may consolidate. We're still strong bull, and we still have green candles here. That's a nice larger 1-minute extension candle. So from a low of 651 up through $8, well, 797. And it does look like we're trying to consolidate. So this would be a fresh breakout. I'm completely out. That ended up being a $1,500 trade. I was red 400 still on it. So I made back half of the loss, then still red 400. Now up $1,140 on the day. That might be it for me, but this could very well go higher. I mean, we're now up 273%. That's a lighter red candle on the selling volume, and this could potentially consolidate sideways for another 1 or 2 candles and then get a rip. So I'll watch it here and just see what this does. I would need to be buying back down kind of around 710. I feel like I'm extended up off the 8 EMA, and I'd have to give this too much room here. So I'm just going to watch this here. That was really nice. So exits at 740 and 762, and I hit a high of 797. So best exit was 762 on that final half. Looks like this might try to make a first 1 minute candle to make no high after the breakout. However, it could be a false breakout, just given that we really haven't come back into the 8 EMA. I really prefer to see this catch up with the 8 EMA a little more, and then you get your break. That prior high right now, 766. But this low, it's a pivot low 709. Be interesting to try something down around like 715 if you could get a pull back to that point. I'll watch for something like that. Just watching the level 2. There's a 715. I'm going to take an entry there. That's 721. And now I'm going to assume 710 on my stop loss here. So if we hit 710, I'm definitely out. So I'm in at 721. I'm going to look for this first 1 minute candle to make a new high. Not going to give this a lot of space. Okay, I'm out there. So gave back a little, about $80. And I'm happy to get out there, not needing to push this. I thought we'd maybe hold this pivot low at 709. And when we didn't, I took that exit right there at 706. And now you can see we're all the way back to 680. So now I don't want to overstay my welcome. I'm willing to take a stab at it if it looks like we're going to hold this pivot low, what would have been this pivot low at 709, and hold the 8 and then get a quick run back up. But if we can't hold that low, then I don't want to be hoping through these lower lows that we're actually going to reverse. I'd rather wait and see. That again, that was 500 shares, just a quick 15 cents on the loss, so $75. And I'm okay giving that a shot, given that this has had so much momentum right through the market open here. So SXTP up 247% there. IOTR is below its VWAP. The other one that's gone off really heavy on the scanner today was CMCT. I'll show you that chart while we're waiting here. So CMCT, you can see it made this really nice move up to 582 and then has subsequently pulled back. This now, not dissimilar to SXTP, has this descending resistance right there. So on SXTP, if we flip back to that, you can see we had that descending resistance line right here from 640 down to this high of 589. Once we broke above that, it came down and tested it. I was glad to see that held at that 21 EMA. We got that little ramp up. I had to sit tight and be patient through this sideways with the 21 holding. We were in a mid-compression squeeze, so it made sense to be in there. That's what I was referencing. Even at 560, still a good opportunity to add. We get this nice push up through 6. I had taken some shares off. I'll show you that just as by way of recap. This might be the only trade I do today. But by way of recap, so my averages were right there. SXTP 556, 564, 577 coming into the market open, and then I had a sell limit that filled at 606, and then another one at 650. So sold there at 650, which was right at the pre-market high, and then sold at 762. Sorry, 740, which was on the 931 candle. We'll pull that back down. This has had a nice curl after all, but sold that at 740 right on the 931 candle, which was this one. So sold at 740 right there. That was after it did that massive pump to 797 and pulled way back. And that 50 cent pullback, I took a portion off there, 762. Sorry, 740. And then my final exit was on the 933 candle, just right here at 762. So right there. When I saw this not break 8, and then we put in a lower high, with us being extended up off of the 8 EMA, I had put in that order and sold out the rest. So I did take one stab at it at 721 on this low candle right here, looking to see if 709 would hold. It didn't. I sold at 706. And it's bottomed out and kind of tried to curl here. We could still see this curl. I'm watching the 5-minute red candle, which was the one that just closed. So basically just closed 20 seconds ago. It's lighter volume on the red candle, and it'd be really nice to see if we just get like a 5-minute move sideways here. And I'll show you what I'm looking at on the 5-minute candle. On the 5-minute candle, this could potentially be setting up as a bull flag. So you've got this high, this red candle here. I say red, but it's red on the volume bar on the 5-minute. It's hollow on my chart to indicate that it's a candle that closed lower than it's open. So you can see it opened up here at 753, hit a high of 763, hit a low of 665, and then closed at 699. So this selling was less volume than the prior green 5-minute candle. So what it would be really nice to see is if this won't break here, we would get maybe even one more 5-minute kind of consolidation candle and then get the rip up. I would feel like this was maybe a little premature if it broke here, but hey, if it's got a lot of momentum, it could break above 763 and you'd be looking for the move back up. We don't want to see this sell off really, really hard, but if this 5-minute chart would just consolidate, you'd have a nice bull flag potentially on the 5-minute for a really nice move. People that trade the 5-minute chart actively would be looking for that same kind of setup. So I'm gonna go back to the 1-minute. You can see these larger topping tails here. That's fine on the 1-minute. We're still extended off of the 21. And so like this is not a space that I'm looking to take an entry, but I got the 5-minute chart open on my other monitor to see what the shape of it looks like if we can truly kind of get a bull flag. I came down, that pivot was $6.66. You've got a low there at 683 on this 1-minute candle. So if you were going to take a stab, like I would want to be down in the 680 range and then maybe looking for this push back up to 750. That's a quick 70-cent scalp. I mean, you could do that and do pretty well with that. So if I was going to take an entry again, I'd want to be down around 680. That would not eliminate the prospect of still a 5-minute bull flag. So 680 is where I would be looking to try anything if I was going to take a trade here. And just see if you can hold support in these lower, kind of lower wicks. This low is 683, so maybe you don't want to break that. Probably maybe like 685. But after this nice run up from 568 to 797, not unusual to get some sideways consolidation here. I'm still watching. There's a minute 20 left on the current 5-minute candle. It does look like we're trying to hold 7. Like I said, I'd be more interested down in the 680s just to give a tighter entry. Minute left on the current 5-minute candle. It does look like it's setting up pretty nice for a possible bull flag here. CMCT is trying to curl. That's back below. Let's just pop back up above VWAP. I'm still going to keep an eye on SXTP. Leading gainer by a lot. It's 261.5%. MACD slightly closed here. There's 740. Well, 737. This may get up and give its run here. Current high on the 5-minute candle, 755, and there's just 3 seconds left on it. So right now, this 5-minute looks like a nice bull flag, honestly. So above 755, be interesting. There's 750, bigger sellers there. There we go. Wow, look at that pop all the way to 825. So there you go. So that broke that 5-minute. Now big topping tail. So that'd been fast. I didn't take that trade, but you would have wanted to be in right at 7 on that break of 755, and now look at that all the way back to 711. So if you take that 755 and you get that big wick up, it's time to take them off the table. I've been stuck in those before, and it's annoying. You make the right trade, and then it just doesn't hold up, and you end up with this big topping tail. So that would have been the opportunity if you were going to trade that 5-minute setup on the break of 755. You got a quick, honestly, with the speed of that, like probably would have been fortunate to get 20, 30 cents a share off in profit because of how quickly that wicked up. And it just didn't go any further. So real big topping tail there. Much heavier selling volume on the 1-minute. Now this is trying to recover, so that's interesting too. It's trying to recover that 5-minute setup. Anybody that was short there, wow, look at that squeeze up. If it recovers that wick, that's pretty impressive. There we go, 862. Wow, really impressive to see that recover, that big topping tail. Again, I'm not in, but that was pretty amazing to see that buying pressure come in there and push that back up between buying and the short covering. So yeah, I'm not in there. I'm up 1,065 on the day. Gave a little bit back on that 721 entry. It was just $75. But SXTP now up almost 300%, 298.5%. Again, that was really impressive. It's amazing to see how the buying came in to really move that higher, get a little bit more of a tail up to 862. We talked about this 847 on the daily, and we know that the 200 EMA is at 978. So not a lot of room. Again, it's not to say that that couldn't happen, but we talked about that 848 price and then that 1030. So I've got my, if we take a look at this, there's that 1030. So I know this says 847, 1031 just because of the scale when I drew the lines. So this was a daily pivot area. We had a window up to 847. It hit that. And then the next window, if you stayed above 847, you'd be looking at 1031. And then from there, 1077. So that would put the next one. And the 1077 is kind of the really big one because it's the peak. It's the peak of the daily chart. And then after that, you'd be 1120 and kind of some daily resistances in there. So interesting again, held the 21 EMA. But you can tell there's a lot of selling at this 8. I mean, it ripped up through, sold off, trying again. We are in a mid-compression squeeze here. MACD's open, bullish TTM. 5-minute topping tail. There's just about 30 seconds left on this current 5-minute chart. And again, if I'm thinking lower risk entry, I need to be down in the 720s on this. I don't want to be buying this up at 8 where all the selling's at. And look, it could go higher. I just feel like for the risk management side of me, I need to be in lower, not up here around 780, having to sit through a 40-cent pullback. Because even on 500 shares, that's $200 that I give back. That's 20% of my profits, and I would just basically be done for the day. So I'd rather, if I miss the move, then that's fine. But if I'm going to take an entry, I'd much rather be back in the 730 range where we're in this mid-compression squeeze with the MACD open. So just watching here, like I said, I mean, we're not really that extended off of the 9 on the 5-minute chart. The other stocks that were moving in the pre-market have faded out. This might break 8 here and get a nice pop up the high of that prior 1 minute, 798. Still mid-compression squeeze, bullish TTM here. This would be interesting too if this current 5-minute candle would just create a little bit of a bull flag. There's still 3 minutes left on it. And the CMCT has kind of curled up. I guess it hasn't completely faded off, but it's up 72%, not bad. SXTP's up 281%. There was a quick break, false breakout right there. 798 up to a high of 820. So that's kind of a false breakout. Could just mean this isn't ready yet. We're still mid-compression squeeze, bullish TTM. 5-minute setup's got about 2.5 minutes left on it. But this 5-minute has held the 9 EMA the whole way, which is really impressive. All the way from essentially $4 a share up to now the current price, it's held the 9. Bigger seller there, 31,000 share seller at 776. Now some sellers stacking up there, 2,600 shares. You can see that at 770. There's another pullback. More sellers. Minute 30 on the current 5-minute candle left here. So still watching. 21 EMA is 735. There's a minute left on the current 5-minute candle. There's the 21 EMA. Big seller there at 718. There's a pullback deeper. There's a big seller there at 7. So quite a bit steeper pullback there. Still 18 seconds on the current 5-minute candle. The 9 EMA is at 677, so it's not too far off the 9 EMA on the 5-minute. So I think I'm going to call it here. Get ready and head to the gym, get ready for the day. So thanks for joining me. Ended up nicely on the day today. 1,065. You see that right there. So another good trading day. Only traded SXTP. That was the only setup that I took. I tried it multiple times. Was right on at 100. 800 at one point. Cut that loss in half. Just being patient. I cut that loss in half essentially through this move, kind of right through here. I cut that loss in half, and then tried this again, and it set back up, and I was able to take this nice extension here and end up green on it, 1,065. So overall, really solid day again. It's nice to see the momentum so good in the market. Multiple stocks. Well, at one point there were multiple stocks up over 100%. Still is the case. SXTP's up over 203%. IOTR is up 130%, and at its peak, I think CMCT was up about 80%. So also a good mover there. So right now, this is pulling back a fair bit. The 5-minute setup honestly still looks good, and we still continue to have. Show you the 5-minute setup here. So this is the 5-minute. You're still holding this EMA, and now you're back up to 750. So depending on how this candle closes, it could be a really interesting. If it won't close up here too high, it'd be really interesting to see if this will give you a push, back up into the 8s. But it's moving up off of that 21 EMA on the 1-minute pretty aggressively now. So 21 EMA back there at 734. We're still making compression squeeze. We are trending down on the TTM, something to be mindful of. MACD's closed. So not everything perfectly aligned here. Now, one thing that would be interesting on this 1-minute is if this will stay, so kind of like here where we have the smaller bearish histogram, if it'll stay small, that would look really interesting in conjunction with a 5-minute setup. The high of the current 5-minute candle is 762. So if we will stay somewhat consolidated here between, 710 and 762, then these EMAs could come together on the 1-minute. You could look for kind of a strong bear, weak bear transition, MACD coming back up, and possibly get a squeeze. You need to break this 762, and then pretty much this, you can see this $8 pivot right there. Hit 8, hit 8, hit 8, hit 8, and sold off. Like, obviously, there's massive resistance there at 8. So if you're going to take something around 762 or 750, I'm not saying take it all off right there at 8, but just be mindful that you'd have that resistance level there at $8 a share. There's a minute 30 left. I'm going to hang around just a second. I want to see how this 5-minute setup resolves. There's a minute 20 left on the current 5-minute candle. We are trying to hold the 21. We are strong bear. MACD's closed right now. But again, these are lagging indicators, so you've got to really watch price and see what it's doing. I like, again, watching the price relative to the EMAs, these moving averages, and just seeing, okay, are we holding the 21? Are we getting higher lows? In this case, yes. And I'm also being mindful of what the 5-minute looks like currently. Another big push there, up to 760s, and then a sell back. Strong bear on the TTM. So just watching SXTP here. Okay, 4 seconds to go. Okay, that's the end of the 5-minute candle right there. So the prior 5-minute high was 768. And it does look like a bit of a bull flag here. So if you're going to try above 768, you just have to be mindful, on our 1-minute. MACD still closed, TTM strong bear. This could look interesting if this histogram will flip back to weak bear. You're still in a mid-compression squeeze, so this squeeze is not fired yet. And you've got these bottoming tails down into the 720s. So that is kind of interesting. You're holding this support in that 720. Be a little tough because this low is 685. So if you take something at 720, you kind of need to give it until at least 690, and you still may hold that pivot. So that's a little tough to take an entry and potentially get chopped out. There's bigger pullback there down to 701, but then a lot of buying that put it right back up to 725. But I think I'm going to call it here. This may move higher, but if you're still in it and trading, those are the things that I'm looking for. Wishing you all the best of luck. Make it an awesome day, and thanks for joining me.